is going to be a 1 hour session, and I see numbers are stabilizing. We are 2 minutes past. Let us kick start. And first of all, thank you all for joining this session. This is a webinar about artificial intelligence, or as the French would call it, intelligence artificielle. So you will see why I'm talking about it in French later with our speakers. But I don't know if you have seen this is the second session. The previous session, we did an introduction about the myth, facts, and opportunities about AI. If you haven't seen it, it is on the British Egyptian Society. So let me kickstart by sharing with you slides, and I'll tell you a bit more about this series of sessions. Firstly, my name is Elghoneimi. I'm part of the British Egyptian Society. I'm on the board of British Egyptian Society. I'm based in London, but in the same time, we do have a very strong connection with our roots back in Egypt. So we started doing a session about awareness, a public awareness session about artificial intelligence. And we thought the first session, end of Jan, last Tuesday of Jan, we thought, okay, why don't we do the session as an awareness about the myth and the facts and opportunities about AI. And that led us to a second session for us to talk about AI in education. So that is our second session. Before I go any further, I wanted just to get your feedback if you want to see another session. So we thought of what could be a follow-up session after this one. So we have these questions for you. Is it healthcare? Is it AI and our mobiles or our startups as companies or marketing? So we thought of this to ask questions as a quick poll. So let me launch the poll and ask you to, if you can respond. If you say other, it's okay. Just tell us in the chat, what do you like us to do next? Which topic you would like us to focus on? So I see I'll give the poll a couple of seconds to stabilize. You can select multiple things, either healthcare and mobiles and start. You can select multiple, but we would like to see what would be the one that people are wanting to talk about next. So let us give it 10 seconds more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let us click end the poll if it's okay. Oh my God, people are still responding. So, okay. So, okay, end the poll for now, and I'll share the results. I see a lot of people are saying healthcare, AI and healthcare. Okay, so that takes a high number of votes. I'll take a screenshot of that just to remind myself later. This was the requirement for what would be coming next. Okay, so I'll close that and go back to the slides, and we'll look at the chat. But before going in today's topic, I would just like to make sure you are aware of the British Egyptian Society. So the British Egyptian Society was founded in 1990. Again, the aim and the mission of the British Egyptian Society, as you can see, it's creating bridges between the UK and Egypt. But as a matter of fact, we do have a lot of already connections between the two countries in different areas, but we would like to complement this in other areas as well. And that's the British Egyptian Society link. If you go there on that link, you will see the previous session recording if you would like to watch it. And similarly, this session will be published later in the week as well on the same website. Just to be aware, you can be a member of the British Egyptian Society by going to the website /membership, and using that membership, you will be in connection with us for all the events. Either we do it in events, physical events, or online events. So that's all about the British Egyptian Society, and that's how we started talking about this. But let us talk about today. So today we are talking about AI, artificial intelligence in education. We would like to ask the question of what has changed in the education sector because of artificial intelligence. And we will be hearing from brilliant speakers with us. Dr. Caroline Clewley and Dr. Dima Husseini both will show us what's happening in the UK from their view, what's happening in Egypt from their view. And we might be hearing as well from students, so that would be another interesting point. We will be even seeing of how education has changed, either for the students or the teaching, but how can we assess the teaching and the students' learning itself? And finally, I'll be asking about what is the future of education. We will have question and answers. And with that, I would start by introducing our first speaker, Dr. Caroline Clewley. And Dr. Caroline Clewley was with us in the previous session. She's an Imperial College AI futurist. She did her PhD in Oxford, and she has been 15 years in higher education in Imperial College. Lots of experience and lots of things I would like to ask her about. But in the same time, we do have a brilliant speaker from Egypt as well, Dr. Dima El-Husseini. She is a professor of translation in the French University in Egypt. She did her PhD in the Sorbonne University in Paris, and she has been 25 years doing teaching and having that experience. She will tell us how AI is getting her to do teaching differently than before. You can see from her biography, she has a lot of interesting things about AI that she is doing in her teaching. But let me put that question first. What should we learn, and how do we assess learning nowadays? That's the main question I kept thinking of when I started thinking about what's the impact of AI on what's happening in our like education sector. So let me go to the first part, which is teachers. How Gen AI, generative AI, has transformed education for teachers. And I would like to start with Dr. Caroline. Tell us, how did that change the education? Dr. Caroline.
Thank you, Asa. It's delightful to be here again. Yeah, it's a really good question. What's happened for teachers in the last few years? We're specifically looking at higher education in my context, but I think some of it can be generalized to younger audiences as well, for children in secondary and even primary education. First of all, the advent of generative AI was, of course, very disruptive, not just in education, but everywhere. Suddenly, there was this whole new capability that we didn't really see coming. So I think for teachers, it started with a lot of unrest, a lot of worry, knowing that now students had access to a tool that could probably solve a lot of the assessments they were setting in a way without by circumventing learning. So I think a lot of worry on the side of teachers, trying to think about how can they kind of protect their assessments, how can they still make sure students learn what they're supposed to learn, and realizing that something needed to change quite quickly. But there's two sides to this, I think, because that was the initial reaction. Over time, teachers have also seen the benefits for their own practice. So, for example, there's a lot of work in education that is quite repetitive, like marking, creating feedback, even generating certain content, like changing quiz questions every time you run a quiz, etc.
Yeah.
So I think now we see teachers using it a lot for their own use in teaching, which is very beneficial. But crucially, everyone realizes now, having tried this, that in the end, the teacher themselves has to be accountable. They're still the one who's doing the sense checking. Is this relevant? Is this right? Is this what students should be learning? And I think we've also come to realize that we really can't keep going on as we are. And we need to think very specifically about what is it that we're actually trying to teach our students. So whereas the first reaction was worry and trying to sort of shield our assessment, and that's what you saw in the media everywhere, I think slowly we're getting to a point where people realize, hang on, if we are having to shield an assessment from AI, are we still really assessing the right thing? Maybe this is now an outdated skill, where before maybe, you know, we really thought writing with good grammar is very important in our scientific reports. Maybe that's not so important anymore because Gen AI can do that for us at any point. So maybe we shouldn't be worrying about that, and we should be teaching different skills entirely. So I think that's where we are now, trying to think about how do we incorporate Gen AI meaningfully so that students are already using it in such a way that they will benefit from that later in their career as well.
That's quite interesting that not only the way teachers are using it for themselves to improve their like ways of working and productivity, but they are thinking about how can they deploy it for students. I would like to ask the same question. What about Dr. Dima in Egypt? Can you tell us how did that change for you and for teachers?
So first, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure. And I think that I will start by mentioning the worry. Like Dr. Caroline Clewley said, that there is worry, but only there is fear, because many of some of teachers and even students, they have this fear regarding AI risks. The first fear for teachers, and the first one was for me, is the integrity considerations. So how we can educate students on ethical AI usage, which policy, which critical thinking to develop. So it was at the first time, it was really very struggling for us, between risk, opportunity, how to teach differently. And I think that what is really transforming education for teachers real now is that we are seeing that advances are very fast. It's too fast that we don't even have the time to think, to fear on what is the risk and what is the opportunity. So we have to go fast with these advances, and to educate students on ethical AI usage, and to educate them on critical thinking, on how to evaluate the outcome of generative AI. So many teachers in Egypt are creating new teaching approaches, new exercises. They're adopting new methods in their lectures by providing new ideas about how not only to teach the prompt to the students, how to ask ChatGPT or another AI chatbot, but how to let AI ask the student
Oh,
questions
wow.
in order. But it's another way, not to be the student has to think with the AI, with the chatbot, so it can generate ideas from his own ideas, not the ideas of AI. So these are the worries, the fears, and also the hope for so many teachers, that how can we really preserve this ethical AI usage, because the value of academic integrity is very important.
That's brilliant, and I think you will show us later
Yeah.
tonight. Couple of these examples of those tools that you are using. It looks very interesting that not only that they will get AI to solve their homeworks, but as well get to AI to interact with them, to get them to think. That drives me to the next question, if it's okay. I would like to see what is it from a student point of view. So what do we do from a student? What do you think from a student, Dr. Dima?
Let's listen to our students. They are here with us, Delara Alauddin and Yasmin Hussein.
Oh, brilliant.
So they can share their experience with their own thoughts, because they have 2 points of view. They are complementary points of view by one side, but on the other side, they have 2 different view of this. So let's start with Delara.
Delara, I can hear
Okay,
you.
Dr.
Delara is
Hello.
a student. Okay, can you present yourself, Delara, please?
Okay. I'm Delara Ali. I'm a third-year student in Applied Languages Department. Third year is our last year, so it's our senior. I was talking with Dr. Dima. My approach for the subject was that I'm scared of AI. I started to be a little bit scared when it first came out. It was in my second year, and we all became so dependent on the generative AI and the content, even for preparation, research paper, reflection, writing personal reflection. We suddenly all our personal reflections looked the same. So I was scared of losing my own style in writing, for example. I took a lot of inputs from my own pieces of work, and I put it to the AI, to him, generate a text speaking about blah 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 in my style. So he actually did use my style and did use the frequent words, my style in metaphors. It seemed like a personal work for me. So day by day, I get scared that it actually, we say it won't replace human beings, but it learned from me as an individual, as the it has a lot of input, and so it just gets a bit more advanced day by day. So it was and
Yeah, Delara, I got what you mean. It's quite interesting. I'm probably cautious that the audio is breaking up, but I think we got just that you were scared of it. You tried it, you started exploring, and you realized it's not going to replace you. It's going to help you. That's the gist. I got, Dr. Dima, right from Delara. I'm cautious of that audio breaking, so maybe we can switch to a second student for a different viewpoint.
Yes, Yasmin Hussein, would you please present yourself?
Okay, hi. I'm Yasmin. I'm also a third-year student at Foreign Applied Languages at the French University. So as Delara previously mentioned, last year was the actual year where AI took off. And I had some misconception at first. I thought that AI won't help me, that it will actually limit my capabilities a little bit. Just like Delara said, I was kind of scared of it. So I said I won't use it at all until I started using it for a course, and I haven't stopped ever since.
Wow.
So yeah, so at the beginning of my experience as an AI user, I thought that it was capable of doing anything: research, writing essays, summaries, translation, even reviewing and correcting errors that I made. So I became kind of dependent on it, that I forgot how to actually rely on myself while writing. For example, I should check on ChatGPT if I wrote correctly or not. So I saw it as a tool. It gave me comfort, you know. However, I started to notice after that there are some errors that it commits. There are some biased information. There are some mistakes in the, if I'm talking about a course with numbers like accounting, there are some equations that are wrong. The numbers are wrong at the end. So this is where the human intervention or the human factor is very important, because we notice these mistakes and we fix them. So I decided this year to limit my usage of of AI in general, or to use it in a more responsible way. And honestly, Dr. Dima really helped us in that. At the beginning of the year, of the semester, she sent us a guide of how to use AI in a more responsible way and when to use it during the course. For instance, we won't use it unless it's mentioned in the practice that we could use it. And if we use it, we mention in the sources that we used it, how we used it, for example. What tools did we use? Yeah, and we figured we discovered a lot of new tools, AI tools, for different purposes, maybe sometimes presentations, sometimes things related to a PDF or summarizing a PDF, for example. Yeah, it was very important for me because I thought that whether we like it or not, AI is going to be a part of our essential life afterwards. It's going to become a tool like any other tool that we are going to use afterwards, sooner rather than later. So we must adapt with it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was my point of view.
That's quite interesting. Two different views, and that as a matter of fact got me nicely to this next slide. I was thinking of that question. Maybe I don't need to learn anything because AI is the one that will tell me everything. So all I need to know is learn how to use it. So I don't know if that is a true or a false question. So Dr. Dima, Dr. Curry, what's your comment on this? Any comment?
Well, it's a very interesting question, of course. Some students are actively questioning the relevance of their degree because, as the Egyptian students just now said quite nicely, they thought actually in the beginning it can just take over, but you already saw how they realized it isn't as easy as that. And from my perspective, this is, well, very clearly false. And how I would explain it is with what I coined the path to proficiency paradox. So in order to be able to use AI well, you need to be able to critically evaluate what it comes up with. And that's what Dr. Dima's already said a number of times. You can't just trust that it will give you the right answer. You need to guide it, you need to evaluate it, and you need to really think critically, very process orientated. And those are characteristics of people who are experts in their field. All those kind of things, evaluation, critical thinking, process, that's all for people who know what they're doing. Whereas beginners normally can't do those higher order skills yet. Now, the problem is, of course, that for students, they tend to start as novices in their field. And therefore, it's very easy to shortcut learning in the first instance and think, okay, I'm going to rely on AI to do some of this, but it actually stops their own path to proficiency. So they don't become experts that can use AI critically. And therefore, because you have to be able to evaluate what the generative AI tool says, you can't just be replaced by it. You can't just let AI do it all. But it's essential that within your education, you are guided into that, down that pathway. So we need to, as teachers, need to help our students to realize what AI can and can't do and where they fit in. And they have to make those mistakes in the first instance and find out, actually, this doesn't work for me, and I'm not getting any better, and I'm not getting the answers I'm looking for. But we can only do that by exposing them carefully and guiding them in the process, not taking all of AI away from them, but not just letting them blindly stumble on in the dark either.
Yeah, that's very good advice. We have to learn a lot of subjects, but in the same time, be cautious that AI sometimes make up things. Dr. Dima, any comments on this one? Would you?
No, I'm okay with Dr. Caroline, because now AI is really have this data and have so many information. But what we teach the students is not, we are not giving them only the information. We are teaching them how to transform this information into knowledge. So how to analyze. So if AI is going to give them this knowledge without their capacity of analyzing, of critic also, so it will be catastrophic. But I do not need to learn anything else apart from AI. We learn nowadays from AI, and we double check. We double check if AI is didn't make mistake or what he said is true. The second part of your sentence, as AI can tell me everything. Yes, AI can tell me everything and anything, but AI has also, in this everything, has bias, cultural bias, linguistic bias. So so this is it cannot be, we cannot, as you said, Dr. Caroline, we cannot rely on it. But we also, because AI doesn't have the emotional intelligence of human being, the human intuition. Yes.
I like this one. I was just capturing. It's the emotional intelligence. It's quite interesting. That got
maybe we can ask the students if they really what do you think about AI can tell everything or no?
Yeah.
Yasmin, Hussam, and Dilara, what do you think?
What do you think?
True or false?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So is it true
No,
or
it is true or false?
Okay.
Do not need to learn anything else apart from AI, as AI can tell me everything.
No, I don't think so. I think AI as a tool, it's dependent also on machine learning. It learns as we learn. So I think no, it's false.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a controversial question, a statement I was putting it, but I agree it's false. Now, you have to learn the subjects. You need to check if AI is telling you accurate information. It will help you, but I kept emotional intelligence is very important, and you need to check if that information is 100% correct. It will summarize document, but if I ask about questions, I need to be knowledgeable about the subject. That drives us nicely again into, okay, how are you doing things differently in real life examples? So I think Dr. Dima and Dr. Caroline are going to tell us about what has changed. They are going to show us even how they are doing the education differently a bit. And I think we're going to start with Dr. Dima. You have three different things, like a quick demo. Oh my God, you have a digital twin, right?
Yeah. What is a digital twin? Do you know what is a digital twin? Let me share with you my experience with my digital twin. It means it's a digital version of myself. What does it mean? It means that I have a video and an audio recording of my real voice, which I can use to create video or audio content for educational purposes. It means that instead of recording a video every time I need to make an online presentation or provide material that students can watch multiple times, I simply input text and it's automatically transformed it into a video of me speaking in my own voice. This saves time and effort for me while allowing me to modify the text without having to redo the entire video. So let's share with you my last week. After a dentist appointment, I was unable to give my lecture in person, and instead I entered the text, and the presentation was generated with my video and voice, ensuring that my students still receive the lesson. So I was physically present in the class, but my digital twin delivered the presentation and interacted with the students because I used the text-to-speech feature with my real voice. And I received actually very positive feedback from the students who engaged well, since I was physically present. So human is there, teacher are there, and I was managing the AI tool to interact with them. Can we play the video, please, Esther, of my digital twin avatar?
Let's see your digital twin, and it's this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And teachers, on the theme of translating with artificial intelligence. We will explore how AI tools have assisted you in the translation process, while examining the challenges you have faced and the opportunities they have presented to you. This session is interactive, and I will ask for your feedback during the presentation. Let's start with some key concepts, particularly how you perceive AI, critical thinking, creativity, cultural biases, and ethics. Before we begin, it is essential to review some key concepts.
Yeah. So that part was not really you. That is.
Yeah, this is not me. This is not real me. I did not do this video. I just put a text, and the tool transformed the text into a video with my face, with my video, and with my voice. So this is, I think that actually I tried it so many times, and it is an effective tool that we can use. It's AI tool, and it's very effective. I have another tool that I find useful. It enables videos, explanatory videos, short video, with a pre-existent avatar. It means a digital twin of another person, which is available on the platform of an AI platform. So I have actually two virtual assistants that the first one, I called him Nicolas, is designed to support communication between my students and myself by providing students with course summaries, highlighting key answers of their questions during class, reminding them of homework assignments and deadlines, and giving them methodological instructions for their presentations. So instead of sending emails or written documents with the recap, I generate a short video, ensuring that students have a visual record of what was covered in the lecture. So the use of video with this generation of students, as they tend to engage more with visual content, such as video and short reels, rather than reading long texts, it's particularly effective. So can we play the video of Nicolas?
Nicolas, I think I have him. That's him, right? Can you see him?
Yeah.
Particularly regarding cultural biases.
Let me put him from the beginning. I think I tried him a minute ago.
Hello,
Yeah.
this is Nicholas, the virtual assistant of Professor Dima, Husseini. I am summarizing the content of the presentation on the use of AI in translation, sharing experiences. AI is a tool and can be a good collaborator or partner. Human intervention is essential to verify the AI's results, particularly regarding cultural biases. Pay attention to ethics. Being honest matters a lot in your studies and, later, in your work. Critical thinking and creativity should be developed alongside AI. It is about responsible use. Apply the methodology of translation. It is the foundation for knowing how to correct and evaluate work. Today's new exercise was conducted with Yasmin Awesome. Ask questions at each stage so that it helps you in your reasoning to accomplish your work well.
Interesting. So is that an interactive one? So he's
No, this
tried
one
it.
is no, this one, as it is not interactive. There's
Yeah.
another one who is called Noe. Noe is an AI virtual interactive assistant. So I choose an interactive virtual avatar from the platform, and then it can chat instantly in English or in French. What I do is that it's very interesting that by myself, I put the data on the database knowledge of this avatar. It means that what he says to students, when he replies to students while interacting with them, is what I put to him in this data knowledge base regarding. So he's a virtual interactive assistant for the students who he can answer questions regarding translation, the methodology of translation, localization, and writing for the web writing, I mean.
Yeah.
So it's I integrate relevant URL links too related to translation topics. So he can answer them. I tried this with the students of second year at the Faculty of Applied Languages, and it was really great to see how students were really very interested to interact with him. However, its performance was occasionally hindered by internet disruptions. So as it requires a high bandwidth to function smoothly. Can we interact with Noe?
Yeah. I've selected English. I can see other languages.
Yes, but there is no Arabic. There is French, but the French features a Canadian French accent, and sometimes it integrates English. It's a beta version of Hagen platform, which offers these avatars, and we can use it for free. We don't need to pay in order to get this, but it's limited when it's a free version for sure.
Yeah, I can see it requires a high bandwidth, of course, depending on the connection for the students.
It takes just a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried it earlier when he told me about it, and I was even asking him about things, and I said, sorry, I have to go now for lunch. And he was replying to, oh, have a nice lunch. I was like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah.
It's
maybe now the bandwidth is not it's not good. We tried it earlier from 30 minutes and it was responding.
It was.
Never mind. Or if anyone is interested, you can write me and I can give you the link, and so we can so you can try it.
Yeah. So probably this is going slower.
The sound is very bad. Dr. Faisal Qasim is saying the sound is very here is.
Yeah, I'll try it again. I'm trying it one more time. I think it's, let's see if it's
Hello, I'm Noe, the AI virtual assistant for Professor Dima Husseini, here to guide you through specialized translation, localization, and AI's innovative role in transforming communication and online content creation.
Hello, how are you doing? It takes a bit of time, huh?
Yeah. I think he didn't hear you because there is no.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can, but I think no, I think maybe because we are using the mic for the Zoom, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Can you still hear me clearly?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll leave him for now. And in this case, I think we will maybe switch to other parts of the slides. Let me go to our slides. I think it's quite interesting to see these ones. And before I go to Dr. Caroline to tell us about these, I see you put down even there is competency framework for teachers and students, but I can see the use case for these two, that the same professor with the same material can make education cost less by having the session run in multiple locations. You don't have physically to have the professor in one location. And at the same time, there is interactivity for the students as well. That's the use case I was thinking of, and it probably will be of benefit in maybe developing countries where you would like the cost down, or even in other developed countries, you would like to reduce cost.
Mm.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
I'll for the sake of time, I would like to hear from Dr. Caroline about the 3 points as well. You said there is like chatbot for lecture courses, the integrations, and I would like to hear about what's that inclusive persona.
Yes, so let me explain. So I'll just talk briefly about the first 2 points, and then we can have a look at the third one, perhaps. I've chosen a number of use cases throughout our university, because there's lots of different things going on, and try to categorize them very broadly. So there's quite a few different implementations of specific chatbots for lecture courses, a bit similar to what we just saw with the teaching assistant that's interactive, although not necessarily always with video, because sometimes students quite like to also just be able to quickly write something and have a rapid rapport. So the benefit of this is that instead of just asking a general question to ChatGPT, for example, you can get very module specific answers, and it can be as simple as, what will I be assessed on? How do I do well in this module? What are the main points? But also more broadly. So for example, in project work, if you're doing a project within a certain module or course, lecture course, you don't really want ChatGPT to tell you that in order to do this well, you have to work for 6 months and do user testing for 3 months and then piloting. You need something very to the point. And in that sense, it's much better to have a custom-made chatbot specifically for your module that can guide students in such a way that they can focus on what's necessary in the module and in the learning outcomes that are important for the module as well. So we have quite a few different examples of these integrated in different types of lecture courses. Another one is that we're starting, and after the first worry about having assessment impacted by generative AI, we're now starting to have a more holistic approach where students use generative AI throughout their course and then even have it integrated within their assessment. So for example, this takes many different forms. I'm from Imperial, and that means we're a science, technology, business, and medicine thing. So we don't tend to do much essay writing, but sometimes we do. And we do a lot of programming, and both writing and programming can be done very well by generative AI. So it's very tempting to say students can't use it, but actually, if you integrate it from the start, what you end up getting is you have an assessment that comes in various forms. So you might say, ask generative AI to create a project report for you based on the data you've gathered, and then you say, now critique the output that ChatGPT, for example, has come up with, and tell me, why this isn't what you would want to get out of it. And then finally, create a version where you have corrected it and made it better in some way, and reflect on that process. So the whole assessment becomes more process focused, and you very much intentionally incorporate generative AI throughout. And the reason we're doing that is because we have a focus on authentic assessment. And that means we're trying to assess students in a way that they're also going to be using, so basically on skills that they're using later in life. So as authentic as possible, and not just like a gimmick that you do to pass your course. And in real life, of course, they will be using generative AI. So you might as well integrate it throughout your module and your assessment as well. So we have quite a few examples of that. One interesting thing, I think, is something that we see a lot in design studies and in the business school, where we're using generative AI to mimic discussions with stakeholders. So if you think about it, if you're in business and you have a case study, you would normally have lots of conversations with different people in, say, you're imagining being a consultant, and you have to ask questions of different people in the business to get to understand the problem and create a solution. Now, that is hard to mimic in a university environment, but you can set up a GPT or a chatbot to effectively mimic these kind of interactions. So you ask ChatGPT, you interview it in the same way as you would interview a real person, except that this is a pre-set up case study, and it becomes very interactive this way. Or similarly for product design, instead of trying to interview lots of people of what they think would be best, what problems they have, what solutions they would want, a lecturer can set up a specific chatbot that then mimics those stakeholder interviews, and a student can still practice those skills without having the problem of actually having to find people within the short time they have for their module. So this really opens up avenues that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And the last one, the digital inclusive persona, is in a way an example of that. So if you want to, show that, so thank you. So this is a bit of a segue, but what we realized is that we have a lot of different types of students at Imperial. People from very different backgrounds. About 50% of our students are international. They all have different, not only different languages, but also different educational backgrounds. And we have a huge variety of, for example, disabilities or neurodiversity in our student population as well. So there is a project to try and enhance understanding of these different people. And what we've created is this set of inclusive personae. This isn't me, this is a learning technologist in university who's done this, Katie Stripe. And this is all, they've created these people based on real stories, but they've taken the stories together to create a specific persona as if they're in Imperial. And what I've done with Katie is to take that one step further and use that kind of story, those stories we have around this one person, to create a chatbot so that you can interact with this person as if they're really there. And if you want to show that, Asa, in this case, it was meant to show, to enhance understanding of neurodiverse students and how they might interact with generative AI. Because in our worries about generative AI, we can easily forget that it can be an extremely useful study companion for people with certain differences or disabilities. For example, it's very wordy. For example, helping explain concepts in different language, structuring writing, things that people with dyslexia or ADHD or dyspraxia can really struggle with. And the point here is that, as you can see, As is just asking, are you enjoying studying at Imperial College? It is wordy. You can say, can you tell me in two sentences if you want, and then it will be shorter.
Dance club, I love that.
But if you, for example, ask something like, how does AI help you? I think this person has dyspraxia, so study with dyspraxia, then it will give you an insight on how generative AI can help. And why I think this is powerful is because there are certain questions you may have that you might not want to ask real people because they could be perceived as maybe offensive even. You know, sometimes you worry about, am I offending someone by asking about certain experiences? Am I showing like negligence or ignorance? So there's a big threshold to ask sensitive topics. Whereas if you ask a generative AI who's been fed enough real life stories, you can actually ask the questions you might feel a bit worried about in real life in a constructive way. So you learn something from it. So I think that's another really nice use case, not just for students, but also for staff to see how Gen AI opens up new ways of understanding each other or interacting with people that you would otherwise not have an opportunity to do so.
Brilliant. I was just saying to Elena, we'll keep talking to her later, but as we are running out of time, it gets me into a conclusion, and I would like the Q&A session by the audience as well. Feel free to start posting questions. We'll come into that. But one final question from me, that I can see education has changed a lot, but what is the future of education from each of yourselves? I would like maybe Dr. Dima, you start first. What's the key messages from you?
For me, Asser, I see that the future is uncertain till now. It's so fast that I don't know what will be in the future. So how can I manage for my programs, for the tools, because some tools can be obsolete. What I'm presenting now may be obsolete in some months, or in just 1 year, and some information chatbot too, they will be obsolete. So we have really the first thing that as AI is generative AI is reshaping education, and so as teacher we have to enhance our competencies with AI. I invite you to look at the UNESCO framework for competencies for teachers and UNESCO framework competencies for students, with 15 competencies for teachers and 12 competencies for students. It's really very interesting to read, as it puts the human is centered in this perspective. So another thing that for students, it's really important to increase their critical thinking and creativity. We have to find ways to increase it with the AI generative tools. How we can do it? It's moving so fast, as I said. So there are tools that can enhance this critical thinking with exercises that can make this interaction. Not only we have to compare to analyze the outcome of generative AI, but AI can also ask us the questions, so we can think about what we want to do. And staying up to date is really crucial. And staying up to date will be more enhanced with cooperation together in Egypt, the university, and international cooperation projects on AI education, because I think also that each region has its specificities and can manage with the bias, cultural and linguistic bias. So the main point here is that research can really be a added value to the field of AI on education. So the last message is let's be cautious in the use of AI with students. Don't rely on it, but we have just to find ways to teach differently with AI tools.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And again, I'm cautious of time, but it's very important to hear from Dr. Caroline as well. What's the key takeaway message? What do you see the future going towards?
Well, I think actually Dr. Dima said it beautifully. Despite our very different settings and backgrounds, I think we're very unified in our views, which is very interesting to see. So I'm trying to not just repeat what she says, even though I do agree with all of it. I think, first of all, we really need to be proactive to stay relevant as universities and to have relevant degree courses, we can't shy away from the use of AI. We need to embrace it cautiously and responsibly. And what I think is very important, you see this every time there's a new technology, some people jump on the bandwagon purely because it's there and they want to do something different. So I would say, yes, we need to embrace, but the changes we make need to be there for a considered reason, not just for the sake of change. And in this particular case, I would say the reason should always be a very careful consideration of what our future graduates need to be able to do. We need to rethink not just assessment, how we assess students, but fundamentally, what do we think our graduates should know and be able to do by the time they graduate? And it's not going to be the same as people in their position now. It's going to change and very quickly. And that those key skills should drive everything else we do, our learning design, our assessments. As long as we know what they learn, then we make change. And exactly, I can't ignore this one. Keeping pace with tech innovation is extremely important. So I know this is a duplicate, but we are used to having quite a slow cycle in universities. It can take 18 months to make updates because of all the quality control. We can't really afford that. So we need to be very adaptive and we need to be flexible in our learning design, because exactly as Dr. Dima said, whatever we say now that AI can't do is not true in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
So we need to keep moving with the innovation of the tech and even try and foresee what's going to happen next. But underlying all of this is ensuring that we instill in our students and ourselves a set of values that isn't so very open to that change. You know, values are something that tend to change more slowly. So if we think about academic integrity, we've talked about that quite a lot, but also critical use, accountability, we think about environmental impact, and making sure that our students understand, as well as ourselves, that responsible use of AI should underlie everything we do, then I think we do a really good job. But most of all, we can't be complacent. So my takeaway message is this quote: if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. I'll leave it at that.
I love that statement. I see the education is changing a lot. I think for students, but not only for students, for everyone, we need to learn how to learn. That's the key that we need to keep adapting. I'll stop here. I'm cautious of time. We can extend a few minutes beyond the hour if everyone can. So we have question from the audience. If you have your questions, please feel free to start typing or even unmute directly. I'll refer to, I think there is a question there, but just before doing that, I just wanted to make sure you are aware of our events. We are not doing an AI webinar in March. We are taking a break, but in the same time, there is an event in London for Iftar, for Ramadan, of course, on the 6th of March at 6 o'clock. Of course, to book, you need to contact Noel Rands for this. Noel is helping for doing all the organization for a lot of events for the PES. Okay, so questions from the audience. I see questions from Susie, right? Susie, do you want to ask the question or?
Yes, I can. Hello, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this has been really brilliant. Thank you so much. I work in education, as I wrote in my my comment, and I'm actually part of the British Egyptian Society, so I'm very proud of that. I am a big supporter of AI, and I love what you both said about using it cautiously and responsibly. I do have some worries because I work with teachers, I work with tutors, and I work with students. So I see, because it's new, because people don't really quite have the sort of experience that you have and don't have the tools and the knowledge that you have, they are not using it properly and responsibly yet. How do we avoid students stifling their own. I wrote in the question, AI stifling students' creativity. How do we avoid the students themselves stifling their own creativity, not having personalities and characters, and using AI to the point that they don't have authenticity in what they learn, they don't have their own ideas and views, and everything just becomes robotic. So if you use ChatGPT, even if you change some wording, really it all feels very similar. So if I write a question, you write a question, the answers will be worded slightly differently. My character will not come through that answer. So I see that a lot, for example, with students doing their personal statements. I see tutors and teachers writing their session reports to parents via AI. So I see a lot of training needed for educators and for teachers. But I just worry, in your view, how do we get that balance? And is there just still a long way to go until we get to that balance? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's very interesting. Who would like to comment or provide their view?
I
Okay.
might have to say something, but Dima, you too.
Okay. Yes, just 2 points that the main risk for me, and it can guide us on what to do, on what you think, Dr. Susie, is that first we have to guarantee the equality in AI usage for all the students. So if we leave each student to use his version of AI on his mobile, on his computer, it's not really equality, equity in education. So we need that the universities have their policies to have a version for all the students. So this is the first point. The second point is bias, cultural and linguistic bias. And I think that students think that they are not responsible for the outcome of generative AI, but they are responsible because AI is not responsible of its outcome. So I think that the first thing is awareness. Awareness for universities, policies, awareness for for students too. First of all, teachers, we as teachers, we need to have trainings on how to use AI in our classes. I got this, I attended an intensive workshop organized by the Agence Universitaire de la Francophonie at the French University in Egypt with the team of applied languages. All the members of applied languages, they know now how to use some tools, how to organize exercises in the classroom in order to enhance this critical thinking and creativity. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because we change all our method of teaching. Nowadays, for example, I rarely give homework to students. They have to work on the class because I'm sure that they don't use AI alone. It's AI under my supervision and under my instructions. So I think this is one of the solutions. Maybe Dr. Caroline have also another ideas.
I think those are very good points. And then when it gets to that loss of your own voice and loss of individuality, which I think, Susie, it was a very good point you were saying. There's a lot of worries in our university as well about that. And I actually think it's one of those things we need to meet head on as well. The more we consciously address something, and rather than having students unguided, implicitly finding out, making sure they actually experience this and are then sort of critical of it, that's what we want to be doing. So I think actually some of Dima's students said it very nicely. In the beginning, they thought it could just do all the writing for them, but then they were really worried that that didn't sound like them anymore, and it's all the same. And I think the first time you use an LLM to write something for you, you think, oh, this is great, this is actually really good abstract that I maybe wouldn't have written like this, and maybe it's good to have a different style like this. And then you read like 5 other people's abstracts and you go, oh, hang on, they all sound the same. And then you think, oh my God, it sounds awful, and this is not me. But you have to experience it. So in some of our classes, for example, that's exactly what they do. They say, as homework, please go and write with Gen AI a short summary, this many words on this article. And then they come back into class and then they compare. So they all thought they wrote a good summary with Gen AI, but getting them to compare the results in the class suddenly made them realize, hang on, my summary is just exactly the same style and sounds the same as the next person, and this is not really how I want to come across. So meeting it head on, I think, is very powerful in that sense, and guiding them through that process that will help open their eyes, the same as it does for us.
Well, it kind of proves the point that AI cannot replace us, at least for now. We need to be reviewing what AI is writing, but of course, before that, to address Sue's question, we need to teach people using it, or to get them to learn how to use it, and be cautious of all the other points. I think we covered a lot of points in the first session about the bias, about ethical AI, and what responsible use of AI should be there. So we need to be aware of all these points. Again, I'm cautious we are a bit over the time, so I'm still happy to continue if there are any more questions. Any more questions from anyone? I don't want to hold you for late dinners at your end.
I think David asked a couple of questions.
Yeah, David, do you want to unmute and ask?
I mean, I still want to go back to a statement I heard a while ago, which is, I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so that I can do my laundry and dishes, said an author. And so when the student said that they were having to check AI to do to get the maths right, I felt a little bit like it was to do the laundry and the dishes. So I still worry that we're sort of putting ourselves outside of the creative energy of thinking when we do checking, not actually, why not create rather than check?
I think it's a very good question. Sorry, do you mind if I jump in? Because I love that quote so much myself. I saw that as well, and I keep using it myself because I love it. I think there's checking and there's checking. So, for example, if it's about the maths, so if you are letting Gen AI do some maths, then you're probably working on some sort of scientific problem. And the creativity in scientific problems and is often in the problem solving. When you think about how am I going to approach this specific problem? What questions are the pertinent ones? And how am I going to think through that to test whatever my hypothesis is, or whatever I'm trying to do, and work out an answer? And so the creativity is often in that, but as in that, if you're doing it without Gen AI, you actually end up doing, for example, writing lots of code, or to do the maths for you, or indeed, if you're doing it by hand, typing it into a calculator. That's not the creative part. So when it gets to having Gen AI help you with that, it could brilliantly create a load of code for you, and do a lot of calculations directly as well. What you don't do is check through every word of that and check through all the maths. That's indeed very dull. But what you do is have that thinking hat on throughout, and you say, is this actually, first of all, is it an answer to what I'm asking it? Because often it can be going off on a slightly different tangent. What are you considering? What are your assumptions? Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? What are the implications? The implications are often not quite what the Gen AI suggests it is. It just comes up with some obvious stuff, So you often want to do the hard thinking yourself. And when it gets to, say, the maths outcome, whether it's right or not, it's often more that very sense checking that we should be doing anyway. So how often have I asked a student, like, how much energy do you think this cost? And they quote something and I say, if you just have looked at your number, you realize that was more than the energy usage of the UK for an entire year. And you should have realized that that's wrong. They've just used the calculator wrong. That's the same thing they could be doing with Gen AI. They don't have to retype it. They just have to do sense checking. So I think it does leave room for lots of creativity, but you can only get it to help you if you know how to guide it, how to ask it those questions.
Yeah, we need to learn about or how to use it properly. Any other questions? Again, if anyone is heading for dinner, I don't want to hold you. If it's too late at your end, I don't want to take over your evening. Okay, so going once, twice. Okay, so in this case, let us wrap the session. I would like really to thank Dr. Caroline Clewley and Dr. Dima Husseini for giving their insights about how AI is transforming education. I would like really to thank you all for joining us for this session. This is meant to give you an awareness and to start the discussion. It's not the end of that discussion, it's the start, and I'm sure you will continue talking about this later on. And feel free to reach out to the team, and we will be posting that recording on our British Egyptian Society. With that, I would say thank you very much. Don't forget, for those in London, if you are going for the iftar for Ramadan, so Ramadan Kareem for all, and please reach to Noah Ranch for booking the iftar. And with that, I would say thank you very much and have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you. See you all soon.